You'd never guess what book I stumbled upon recently in the sci-fi section. It's this newfound dystopian gem, incredibly mind-bending and ripe for intense philosophic debates. You'd love it. Even managed to provoke our book club, especially John, into an insightful discussion. Speaking of which, you remember John, right? The fellow book nut in our literary circle. Anyway, suffice it to say I've indulged in another literary escapade yet again. On a different note, Nina and Eric were going on about the latest episode of Space Frontier. Quite the sensation, isn't it? In between their relentless sci-fi chatter, I managed to pitch our dystopian novel. You should have seen their amazed faces. Eric, in particular, came up with this nutty idea of turning the book into a TV show plot, just like Black Mirror. Can you believe it? On a whimsical note, I recommended 1984 by George Orwell to them as a gentle introduction to this compelling genre. And guess who might jump on our dystopian bandwagon? Yep, Nina and Eric, our software duo. On a lighter note, Nina's trying out this new sushi place tonight, and we all joked about each sushi roll representing sections of dystopia. It's funny how we all intertwine our interests, isn't it? Eric, much like his in-game antics, is already looking forward to her sushi meets dystopia story. I did poke him with a friendly jab about failure being the stepping stone to success. Quite cliché, but gets the laugh every time. But enough about them. What about you, my friend? Got any exciting reads or adventurous culinary journey to share? Anyway, there's this pixel glitch in the streaming software I've been battling with. The darn thing refuses to cooperate. Seriously, sometimes I feel like I'm wrestling with pixels here. But no worries, it's all part and parcel of this tech wild ride. So I'd better get back to that pesky software before it decides to grow a mind of its own. Chat soon, okay? Oh, and remember, don't let the virtual bugs bite. So, picked up this dystopian novel recently, right? The utopian cityscapes in it were unreal. Walked me through some intense inspiration gears for my VR design. And oh boy, did my creativity engines rev up. Scribbling and sketching like a mad artist, I ended up nurturing one wild brainchild. A fully immersive VR architectural tour inspired by the exact utopian cityscapes. I'm telling you, it was like physically stepping into the pages of the novel. And guess who got to be my first visitors? Sophie and Lily. Talking about hitting two birds with one stone, I was touring my VR city with Sophie, the virtual chef. The one who waltzed around the culinary delights of different cultures right from her kitchen. Now imagine her animation when she cooked up a storm in my VR kitchen. Cooking in a utopian city, how wicked is that, right? Well, it did more than just stoke our virtual appetites, to be honest. Happy to say she's already cooking up a cultural festival set in my VR city. From the look on Sophie's face, I would say she totally loved it. And Lily, our fellow streamer, she just hit her Twitch milestone, remember? Talk about perfect timing. She was looking for something extraordinary for her stream. And voila, she got an entire VR city that's a peek into a book's utopian wonderland. Beyond thrilled, Lily's even planning to host a mixed reality art workshop in my VR city. I guess it's safe to say, my VR city couldn't have asked for a better launch. An extraordinary blend of culinary delights and artistry waiting to unravel. That's what I call a fair day's work. And then we had this chit-chat with Eric. You won't believe what he's drooling over. Choco Churros dessert pizza. Can you imagine that? A sweet twist to our usual pizza madness. And all this while he's trying to tame the Turbotech beast. Guy's got his plate full, if you know what I mean. Well, desserts and AI evolution, that's Eric for you. Our usual tech banter got me thinking. What if Turbotech skyscrapers layer my VR Earth someday? A multi-sensory, hyper-connected world. Now that is one futuristic thought, right? Gosh, thinking about it already gets my adrenaline pumping. These tech-charged conversations, they never seem to end, do they? But I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what they say, innovation is survival in our tech-charged world. Well, on that thought, I'd better get back to nurturing more wild brain children. So you know how I've been drawing inspiration from that dystopian book I've been reading? Today, I decided to step out of the virtual world and bring a slice of that to reality. This city, teeming with diverse architectural structures, is such an incredible canvas. You know how it is with me. Instead of mundane cafes and bars, I go scouting for eccentric buildings and marvels to feed my VR designs. The result? Silent snapshots evoking surreal wonder from this urban jungle of ours. Today was an absolute treat for my creative energy, my friend. Alex, you remember my big brother and his stunning photography skills, right? He's always wandering around the city with his camera, making me insanely jealous of his artistic eye. Need I tell you about that shot of Times Square at dawn he once clicked? Pure magic. So who better to accompany me on this photography amble around the city? With him playing tour guide and the city's architectural symphony unfolding before us, the day just zoomed past in a blur of laughter and impromptu photo sessions with the iconic landmarks, quirky streets, and mystical skyscrapers. They say every picture tells a story, and I cannot wait to see how my designs will breathe life into these static structures on my VR canvas. In between, we sneaked in some good old banter with our friends on chat. Eric was desperately searching for some new work tunes, and in my usual DJ fashion, I suggested the Anthems of the Metaverse playlist. Our friend Nina chimed in with this hilarious idea of creating a Geeks Grooves community playlist. Not a bad idea, don't you think? Now it's my DJ duty to give it some eclectic and tech-friendly music tunes. I'm even throwing in some dystopian soundtracks from my recent creativity spree. Somehow the idea of a VR-inspired music essence seemed pretty synced to the whole group. They're definitely intrigued. In between all the musical musings, I noticed Eric has picked up a peculiar taste, quite literally. He's experimenting with popcorn and sriracha. Can you believe it? Italian cuisine fusion, as I like to call it, salty meets spicy. We also managed to revive our memory of a disastrous experiment with sriracha ice cream. Just a typical day in our lives. Eric, amid his crazy food combos, also gave a shout-out to our shared passion, the metaverse. I think this shared excitement is what brings us together as a group. The techie talks, random food discussions, and the general enthusiasm for all things VR, they make our friendship so unique. Well, enough about the city adventure and the chat banter. It's funny how interests overlap and conversations blend the virtual and the real seamlessly with us. So, after I'm done setting up those playlists, I'll need to get back to sketching out my new VR designs.